if he falls under the mandate. The employees that are employed running this organization, but more importantly, the lives that are impacted positively by this ministry will be impacted, and the ministry will go under. As I said, I could go on and on with other illustrations of how this First Amendment liberty is being violated by a country that made this as the first of the Bill of Rights. Just recently, we all heard, I believe, a concern that a briefing had been given to the U.S. Army Reserve recruits, which classified Catholics, some Jews, evangelical Christians, and Sunni Muslims as religious extremists along with the KKK, Al-Qaeda, and us. In America, religions, strongly held, firmly believed, religious beliefs being attacked as extremists, along with terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda and Hamas and KKK. Mr. Speaker, I'd submit to you, this isn't our America. I don't care what the courts have said at this point. They've ruled on a tax. But on a constitutional question, I think it's clear for us who read it with reason mind to understand, but to understand it more than just a document, but to understand it as a warning to us and a reminder that the blessings of the freedom of this great nation come with a commitment to ideals that are beyond us, that are timeless, that are important, that we often call religion, but are beyond that. They are faith that goes to our integrity, our convictions, our character. John Adams, one of the founders of our country. John Adams, who defended liberty, even when he defended the Redcoats, under the same premises that we believe that all people deserve a hearing and a trial, a just trial. John Adams, who was willing to give his life, his fortunes, his sacred honor, said our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Why in the world would he say that? Huge wisdom there. But it came from an understanding that humanity wasn't enough in itself. The wisdom of beings, human beings, weren't wise enough in their own right, but rather had to flow from someone and some truth wiser than that. Social critic Irving Kristol, I think, encapsulated it when he said, this appears to be a sociological truth. It is religion that reassures people that this world of ours is a home, not just a habitat, and that the tragedies and unfairness we all experience are features of a more benign, if not necessarily comprehensible, whole. It is religion that restrains the self-seeking, hedonistic impulse so easily engendered by a successful market economy. We are a successful market economy here in the United States, and I'm grateful for that, and we need to do a lot of work to continue that. But our faith beliefs, and I'm not talking about one religion over another. I certainly come from a Judeo-Christian viewpoint, and I believe it to be true. I would not have given my life to that belief if it weren't. But it impacts society as a whole. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who understood it with his life, said all individual human rights are granted because man is God's creature. That is, freedom was given to the individual conditionally in the assumption of his constant religious responsibility. 200 or even 50 years ago, it would have seemed quite impossible in America that an individual could be granted boundless freedom simply for the satisfaction of his instincts and whims. And, Mr. Speaker, I submit to you that seems to be the point in time where we're at right now, where we're willing for whims, our instincts, our desires, our own purposes to give in to the baseness of those hedonistic philosophies. And it's proven to be true. The results are there. Just a few of them. The U.S., since 1960, the end of the so-called Christian America, as the media has called it in Newsweek. The U.S. illegitimacy rate has rocketed from 5% of all births to 41%. Among African Americans, the share of births out of wedlock is 71%, up from 23% in 1960. The percentage of households that were married couple families with children under 18 had plummeted by 2006 to just 21.6%. Since Roe v. Wade, 50 million plus abortions have been performed. Declaration of Independence, we're all endowed with a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Between 1960 and 1990, the teenage suicide rate tripled, though the number then fell. As of 2006, suicide was the third leading cause of death of young adults and adolescents aged 15 to 24, just behind homicides. And I could go on with the tragic results of going away from religious belief, faith belief, truth, a moral character. And again, all laws are moral. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And we all have filters. I submit to you, Mr. Speaker, that we are challenged economically, we are challenged socially, we are challenged in our security, we are challenged in our liberty, because we have wantonly walked away from, or in complacency, have given away the underpinnings that allowed God to bless this great country, of which is still receiving the results of much of that blessing. The founders argued very clearly that virtue derived, and I quote here, that virtue derived from religion is indispensable to limited government. The American model of religious liberty takes a strongly positive view of religious practice, both private and public. Far from privatizing religion, it assumes that religious believers and institutions will take active roles in society, including ministers, including engaging in politics and policy making, and helping form the public's moral consensus. In fact, the American founders considered religious engagement in shaping the public morality essential to ordered liberty and the success of their experiment in self-government. Jonathan Witherspoon, a minister who signed the Declaration of Independence, said a republic once equally poised, talking about our republic, a republic once equally poised must either preserve its virtue or lose its liberty. Mr. Speaker, as I began, I will never intend to flaunt my religion, but I will not hide my faith. And I believe in this country where we've given the greatest amount of freedom to all religious beliefs, we would do well to remember that ourselves, to not hold it back, but to encourage faith and to encourage laws that respect that to the fullest degree. And say to people like David Green or the Greisbachs or others, we respect you for what you do, your beliefs, and we will certainly honor your freedom. We will not impinge upon you by mandates, no matter how good the law might seem, because there's something higher than health, physical health. And that's our spiritual health, our character health in this country. There's a stone above you, Mr. Speaker, that's there tonight and has been here since this great chamber was put together. And it's a quote of Daniel Webster.